So, today I'm doing my second podcast. Today I'd like to focus on resilience or steadfastness. So, one of the things I do in my personal life or my professional career is I'm a director. I direct customer service for a couple of different organizations over the tenure of my career. And every time we're handed a project, so let me back up. So, generally speaking, I was sent to troubled areas, um, facilities or branches that need to be turned around. So we are generally faced with a must do, to use a cliche, a must do scenario, right? Or a can't fail scenario. So one of the things I always share with the team that reports to me is a story from my daughter when she was about 8 years old. So we lived in Georgia at the time, and Georgia is known for these like ridiculous windstorms. Puts down power lines, and powers out for could be an hour, could be a few hours, could be a day, right? So we're used to power outages, but the school system in the little town that we lived in Georgia would bring in the fire department to do basically storm training. What to do in case of down power lines. So here they are reviewing. The fire department is in front of the class reviewing, um, you know, how to appropriately handle down power lines. So they start off by saying, clearly, wait for help to arrive, right? So if you're in a car, in a house, or whatever, just sit tight, wait for help to arrive. Now, in the event that, let's say, you're in a car and you do not feel help is going to arrive, or it's an emergency where you have to, get out of the car and proceed along your path, um, they gave very specific instructions. So they're telling all the kids, wait for help to arrive. But if you have to leave the safety of your area, your car, your house, or whatever, and you see down power lines, carefully step over them or go around them, right? So they tell all the kids this, and then they open up the session for questions. So my daughter, at 8 years old, she says, she raises her hand, and the teacher calls on her, and my daughter says, well, what happens if you fall? And the teacher looked at her for a few seconds and responded simply, don't fall. And, and so it's a very simple answer for a very complex situation, right? But sometimes we are all faced with that, you the option of, or I guess lack of an option, where you cannot fail. And I share this story in a sense of, if we're in that situation, don't fall. So at my last position, when I was overseeing customer service for an organization, I shared this story because we were implementing a new computer system. We were restructuring how the department does its processes and things like that. So we had a lot of moving parts and pieces. But you have to understand, in the industry I'm in, customer service is essentially the engine of the entire operation. If things aren't being processed, patients aren't getting their deliveries, and everything just falls apart from there. So the interesting thing is that a lot of people on the team took it to heart, and I started to hear, team members encouraging other team members and ending conversations with, don't fall. They would share their frustrations, they would share their challenges, and they would end it by saying, don't fall. And that's always, it always struck a positive chord with me, because you can't really teach it, and there's no other way that I would have been able to express to them the urgency behind and the importance behind what we were doing, and the lack of options that we had. It was quite literally do or die, or there was no other option, right? So I say that to say this: the ability to be resilient, to be steadfast, and those situations, to really push through when you absolutely have to. I don't know how to say it. It's empowering at the same time it's intimidating, right? To have that situation, to be faced with that kind of situation, to have no other options, and to just have to push through. You have to be resilient. You have to be steadfast in your belief that the plan is sound, it's solid, and it will work if everyone does their part. And the only thing that you want from everyone around you is for them not to fall. Because if everyone's not rowing in the same direction, then no one is, essentially. So I again, I share that to say that everybody in life, right, is going to be at one point or another faced with this type of situation. And, much like coincidence, right? You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know why it's going to happen, but you have to be prepared for it. And that ability to be steadfast, that ability to be resilient in the face of that challenge is sometimes the only thing that will really push you through to the other side. Because if you lose that that let's call it faith that it can be done for too long. Now it's going to happen, right? Everyone gets despondent. Everyone gets down. They think that, you know, again, another cliche. The deck is stacked against them, and it's just going to fail, right? Everyone goes through that where they have that lapse of confidence. But the resilient part of you, that steadfast part of you, has to overcome that lapse in confidence and really get your mind focused again on the challenge and the ultimate destination. And, you know, I've come across that situation both professionally and personally, and I've always tried to keep that story in the front of my mind. And sometimes I find myself, saying it to myself, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, as just a way to motivate myself, or I guess is motivate the right word, um, because I guess for me, failure is a source of motivation. Again, I'm one of those people uh, that takes failure personally. It's part of my personality. So anytime I'm faced with something that is, extremely challenging, then I always have to remind myself what I'm doing it for, right? What I'm doing it for. And sometimes it's as simple as, um, whatever. It could be serious. It could be, I'm doing it to, keep my job. I'm doing it to, pay my bills, pay my rent or mortgage, or, take care of my family. It could be that serious. Or it could just simply be, I don't want to fail. I want to win in a competitive situation. I want to win. And yeah, again, it's one of those things that I can't express, again, enough of that resilience and steadfastness. It's a key attribute both personally and professionally. And without it, you see a lot of people lose focus, and they lose heart, and they get, they start to despair. And yeah, it's never a good place to be. You just have to Really focus in on what's important to you, what's at risk, and don't fall. So that's all I got. Don't fall.